Now, before I begin this video, I do want to state a disclaimer. First of all, I'm not a financial advisor. Second of all, I do not trade cryptocurrency. And third of all, since I'm talking about Litecoin, I do want to state that I own a little bit of Litecoin, not too much, very little bit. Okay, so that's just a disclaimer before you start watching this video. So let's begin. So the title of the video is, should I invest in Litecoin? Well, I first want to address what Litecoin is, a little bit history recap of it. First of all, Litecoin is a clone of Bitcoin. It's been around since the beginning almost. Consider itself the silver to the gold. So if Bitcoin is gold, Litecoin is silver. It's supposed to be faster and cheaper than Bitcoin and focus more or less on smaller transactions. And the total Litecoins that'll be minted or mined will be roughly, well, not roughly, it will be 84 million coins. And as of today, when I'm filming this video, it's $29 US. So there's some interesting history with Litecoin. If you remember, in 2013, Bitcoin gained roughly about 11,000% and Litecoin gained roughly about 500% over the price of Bitcoin during its peak. The price of Litecoin hit an all-time high around $50 on some exchanges. Now, the last major Litecoin rally was during the summer of 2015 when a Chinese Ponzi scheme managed to accumulate more than 20% of the entire supply of Litecoin and instantly dumped it. So it was a pump and dump scheme. Buy, consume, raise artificial prices, sell for high, and dump it later. So that was around 2015, so roughly 2 years ago. So Litecoin has its ups and downs in the history in the cryptoverse, like any other cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. They all have had their very interesting roller coaster rides. So that's kind of like the history of Litecoin, okay? Now let's get into, should you invest in Litecoin? Okay, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about. First of all, you got to ask yourself this question. Are you a long-term investor? Are you a trader? Do you like to do short things? Like, what kind of risk portfolio would you like to have? And now let's dive into the pros and cons of Litecoin. First of all, the pros. Right now, Litecoin's getting ramped up. A lot of people are talking about it. It's in the news. And there's a good reason why a lot of people are talking about it and a lot of people are excited about it. The number one reason at the moment, or there's two reasons that equal the number one reason, is this. Litecoin is activating SegWit. Maybe in the next 2-3 days or maybe next week. There's a counter, there's a timer somewhere on Google you can find out. So SegWit is their scaling solution. And why this is exciting, it's for two reasons as I mentioned. Number one, this is the same solution Bitcoin wants to implement between Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Unlimited. Bitcoin Core wants SegWit and Unlimited wants Bitcoin Unlimited. What's great about SegWit though, like I said earlier, it makes transactions faster and it will make transactions cheaper. The great thing about SegWit though is it's going to be a great example of what Bitcoin can become, which may hinder actually in the future progression of Litecoin, maybe not. So that's one of the pros, SegWit's being activated on Litecoin. Second of all, it's been around since the beginning. So if you're looking at like what coins to trust, well, if you're looking at something that came out yesterday as opposed to something that came out more than 6 years ago, you know, history has a big role to play, or the leveraging of history has a big role to play whether you're going to trust something or not. Number two, it has a huge community, same thing like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it has a lot of followers, has a lot of developers, so that's something to keep in mind. As well as, this is massive news, Coinbase just added Litecoin. So now this opens up the door for more people to purchase Litecoin in a much more accessible, easier manner as opposed to going to different exchanges. Even though I know a lot of people don't like Coinbase, but Coinbase for the most neophytes and the beginners is the easiest way to buy cryptocurrency. Right now they offer Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, okay? And finally, as I mentioned before, Litecoin does offer a fraction of the cost of transaction compared to Bitcoin. Now let's switch over to the cons to Litecoin. First of all, these cons aren't set in stone. They're all going to be dependent on how people speculate what's going to happen and on the different news and different development of other cryptocurrencies and different blockchain projects. So like I said, Litecoin is activating SegWit, their scaling process from Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin does activate SegWit in the future, a lot of people will leave Litecoin because now Bitcoin is offering more or less the same options that Litecoin does offer currently with SegWit. So the whole reason why Litecoin was created, once again, was to have faster, cheaper, and lighter transactions as opposed to Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin does proceed with SegWit, that's going to bring up an interesting dilemma with like, what do you choose? Do you choose Bitcoin or Litecoin? Because is there any new innovation with Litecoin? I'm not too sure if there is any new innovations if Bitcoin does activate SegWit. Number two, like I mentioned a second ago, Litecoin doesn't really solve any new problem that Bitcoin doesn't solve already, especially if it activates SegWit. So to conclude, I wanted to make this video very short. The probabilities of Litecoin going up in value in the next year or so is quite high due to Coinbase and SegWit. However, if I'm looking at long term, I'm not too sure what the price will be. If we're looking at the all-time high, which was like $50, and right now it's around $29, I do see the probability of Litecoin in the next year or so becoming $50. So if you're looking for some short-term gains, it's up to you to decide. Like I said, I'm not a trader. I'm not a speculator. I don't do these things. I just look at the history. I look at the stats. I look at the people behind the community. I look at everything, all these different stats and statistics, and then I tell you. And based on this information, it's up to you to decide would you like to invest in Litecoin or not. Me personally, like I said, I hold a little bit of Litecoin in my whole portfolio, and I want to mention once again, because people keep on emailing me and asking me, I do not trade cryptocurrency. I'm not a trader. I'm not into trading. I'm into long-term holding and actually working on the underlying technologies to support the ecosystem and creates more startups around the world. So to wrap it up, it's up to you. You have the information now, the pros and cons and the history of it. And based on this information, you make the decision. Now let's switch this over. If you have any comments for me, leave a comment below this video. If you want me to do another video, leave a comment below this video. And if you find value, share this with your friends and family. I'm going to be trying to make more of these small interactive videos or under 10 minutes or so. And yeah, take care guys. Peace.